Hey, Mr. Miyagi style. Happy Monday, guys. Gonna have my espresso. Guys, I got a new camera to review. I haven't done a review on a camera in a long time. I've been doing a lot of testing and sampling and stuff like that. Um, full disclosure, I'm not sponsored. Insta360 does not pay me any money to do this review. And I said in my content, if you're sponsored, it's not a review. If you're reviewing, you're not a sponsored person. It's that simple, guys. Sponsorship, you're being paid to do a job. I'm not being paid to do this job. Now, that said, I did get the camera for free to test out, and that was by my request. So I actually went to Insta360 and I had asked them nicely if I could test this out because for a certain application that I'm involved with, and this is the only camera that could probably make that application work. And they agreed to send it out to me. There's no obligation. They didn't give me anything to say that, hey, you're supposed to say this in the review, blah, 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 blah. I have complete control over this review, whether it's a good one or it's a bad one. And I'm going to tell you the bad things first, and I'm going to tell you the good things as well. It's not a perfect camera, and it's not the camera. It's a good complement to what you already have right now. There was a review, I think it was done a couple months ago, on this particular camera, which is the Insta360 Go 3. And this individual started out his video saying that most of his content creators, friends that he knows, are either sponsored, biased, dishonest, or lying. I'm not sure why he would say that. It's kind of, well, for one thing, it's disrespectful to your fellow content creators. And how does he know that they're lying or dishonest or whatever? I can understand if you're sponsored, you're not really lying. You're being paid to do a job. It's that simple, guys. You know, you're supervised. Okay, it's like you're an employee of that company. You're a contracted employee of that company. Very different than people who get their products for free to try out. Those are two very different things. Don't get them mixed up, and don't sugarcoat it and say they're the same thing. They are not the same thing, guys. Okay, not legally, anyways. So this person goes on and says that they're dishonest and they're being paid. They're fanboys, and I think he has fanboyism mixed up. I don't think he really understands what that means. I think there's two types of people out there. There's people who are fanboys, and then there are people who prefer. Okay, fanboyism is you're narrow-minded. You won't go outside of your box, and the brand that you use is the brand, and nothing beats it, and it's the best, and there's no faults to it. That's what I think fanboyism is like, because you can't argue with those people, because no matter what you say, their product is always better than anybody else's. And I think that's what we call extreme cases, right? Because you can either be extreme right, extreme left. You're never in the middle, right? But I think that's what it is. Now, people like me, we are preferred reviewers. So we take a bunch of products and we give you the cons and the pros, or the pros and the cons, the positives and the negatives, right? And then we give you our preference. And that's strictly our preference, right? What I do here is what I like, me. If you can relate to my preference, then I've done my job in helping you to make a wiser decision on your purchase. We are not the decision makers for you. You got to do some critical thinking, and you got to make that final decision on yourself. The reviewers on YouTube and social media, we are a base. We give you some information. You take that information and you do a little critical thinking, and you make that decision on your own. At the end of the day, you're responsible for that. And if you make a bad decision, you blame it on a YouTuber, then that's on you, because you should have did more research, and you should have taken us guys with a grain of salt, right? And I mean me too, not just every reviewer out there. We are here to help. We're here to give you as much information that we can by having the product in our hand and using it, whereas you don't have to do that. Okay, so that's our purpose. And a lot of people are spinning this out of control, saying that, oh, you're giving a product, you're biased, you're dishonest, you're a fanboy, blah, 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 blah. You know what? You can think whatever you want. It doesn't matter what we do and what we disclose in our video, saying that we are paid or we're not. What if I tell you I'm not sponsored? I wasn't sent the product to test out. How do you know, right? How do you know that I'm being honest or I'm lying? Funny, because there's a catch-22 for us reviewers. We disclose the information to you. The whole perception is that if you get something free, you're automatically biased. This is what this individual, this content creator is saying. So wait a minute. So if we don't tell you, we're doomed. If we do tell you, we're doomed. So what should we just not do content at all, guys? It's kind of silly. So now you don't know if we're lying or not. So how about next video that I do, I won't tell you that I've got free stuff or I got free accessories to test out. Does that mean you'll believe me? Does that mean I'm honest? Right? Even though I had a free product? Right? It's a silly notion that if we disclose, automatically we become honest. Right? We were honest in the first place. Does this make us more honest? It's kind of silly, right? And the funny thing is, I don't want to drag on with this, but you guys get the gist. The funny is, this individual, after he had said that, saying that you know, all these people are fanboys, they're biased, blah, 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 they're dishonest. And then his next statement is, you are going to see the first honest review of this camera from me. Isn't that like saying that nobody has a big PP, but I'm the only one that has a big PP? Would you believe me? You know, I think that's a red flag. Tell me if I'm wrong, guys. If somebody tells me that everybody's lying, but I'm honest, would you believe? Would you believe me? You know, does that set a standard for yourself that's not the greatest? And especially when the camera that he's reviewing has been out for over a year, and there's been tons of reviews on this camera. So by what he's saying, all those reviews, honest or not, were dishonest, according to him, right? He's the first one that's going to give you the honest review of the camera. That's ridiculous. That's ludicrous. That's just ludicrous logic and thinking. And it's actually really disrespectful for content creators for him to say something like that. I try to defend content creators as much as I can because there's a lot of work involved. You guys don't realize this. You guys sit back and you watch your videos, and I was once like that. Oh yeah, watch these videos, look at these guys, cool. But you don't know how much work is involved in creating this kind of content, all the editing and shooting, going out shooting, getting the hardware ready and stuff like that. There's a lot of work involved to create a 30-minute, 40, 50-minute video. Even a 15-minute video, there's quite a bit. And I don't have the nice setting that most of these career content creators have. You know what I mean? Like, look at this. This is a mess, right? Looks like a tornado just hit here. And I don't have the kind of some of them have staff. Like, wow, that's crazy. Can you imagine having a staff to do review videos? I just can't even imagine. So I kind of respect those guys, and I respect them even more after I started doing content creating. And it takes a lot of time out of you. And most of us do this voluntarily. We don't get paid. Honestly, we don't. Even the ones who don't get free accessories, they do this and they buy their own product and they provide information to the public. And yet they get flamed because, hey, maybe they got the odd accessory here, or they get the smart comment, oh, are you sure you're not sponsored because you gave a good review? Like, it's tiring, you know, it's almost exhausting to hear stuff like that. But anyways, I'm rambling on. It's just crazy. It's insane thinking to say that everybody's lying except for me. You know, that's just a red flag in my books. I don't know if it is in yours. So, but on to the review. I think I've ranted long enough. I just wanted to push that out, and hopefully you guys don't think worse of me, or you know, just because I get some free products doesn't mean I'm lying. I honestly, guys, most of these content creators, especially this particular person, obviously he's saying that he's the only one. He's going after those likes, those subscribes, and those thumbs ups, right? You know, I don't get paid, like I said before. I don't even know how this whole payment structure works with YouTube. I don't really care. You know, I don't have a huge amount of subscribers. I do this for fun. I'm retired. I buy lots of stuff. I get some stuff for free. Absolutely. Most of the stuff here I bought, you know, out of my own money. And I just love gadgets. I love playing with them. And if I can share some of my positives and negatives with you guys, absolutely. And if you guys can benefit from my content and save some money, I might save you guys a few bucks. You know, I might make you realize, oh, hey, you can do this. You know what I mean? I didn't know you could do this. That's what I'm here for. So hopefully I can continue doing this, and I will do more. And as for the 3D printing 101, I'm going to do segment number 3. I think probably in the next couple days. So expect that. But I'm going to be concentrating on this particular camera because there's so much I can do with it. And you'll see in the video. Stay till the end, because at the end will be a whole bunch of samples of what this camera can do. And that's the reason why I think this camera is a great addition to your gear bag. If you guys have any questions, any things you want to see me do, doesn't have to be Insta360. It could be any other camera. Yes, again, I was sent this camera. I asked for it. They send me the camera. They send me the lens guard. And they send me the actual release mount to test out. So guys, today I'm going to do a full review on the Insta360 Go 3. Okay, so this camera's been out for a year. They launched it with the white color, and now they have the black color. They just launched a black color, which is great because it's more discreet. It's more, if you're wearing it, recording in public, people can't see this thing, and I'll go through that with you. I'm going to go through some cons before I get into, I'm going to do something different, get into the bad parts before we get into the good parts. And I'm going to tell you why I got this camera, requested this camera to test for the application I'm using it on. So that said, you know, drop me a question down in my comment section, and I'll try and answer it as much as I can. I wasn't going to get this camera, and because I belong to a large hunting community here in our city, so I know a lot of guys who are looking for solutions for recording while they're out hunting or doing target shooting, that kind of thing. And we've always been stuck with cameras like the large format action cameras, like the GoPros, the DJIs, the Ace Pros, etc., etc. There's only been a couple of small, or what we call mini cameras. And one of the biggest mini cameras that I still have and I love, and I used still is the GoPro Session 5, which was one of the best cameras ever made. And it's unfortunate they dropped that design and they discontinued that line. I wish they would reboot it. You mean maybe a Session 6 with a screen in the back with better resolution? That'd be awesome. I'd be on it like crazy because I love the Session 5. I've never had any issues with it. No overheating, no freezing, nothing like that, right? And then because it shot only 4K 30, it was a little outdated. 4K 30 back in the day is not the same as a 4K 30 now. It's better now than it was before, right? And you get a little bit more frame rates. That's why I end up buying when DJI Action 2 came out. That's why I ended up buying the DJI Action 2, because it's basically a thinner version of the Session, but with a screen in the back with better resolution, right? So I went out and bought the camera. It wasn't a cheap camera. Unfortunately, I found out it has real serious temperature issues. You can only use a camera in certain temperature environments, which kind of sucks because it's supposed to be an action camera. You know, and it just, you know, for me, I hunt in kind of one season to another during our hunting season. So we go from fall to winter. So fall could be very warm, and then all of a sudden it's very cold, right? And the DJI, am I recording here? Yeah. So the DJI Action 2 does not like cold or hot. There's been many times where I've lost recordings because I can't turn on my camera because it's too cold. You know, I have to like hand warm it and then turn it on and it comes on maybe. So I got tired of it, and then they recognize there's a heating issue and there's a temperature issue. They didn't really fix it. They tried a Band-Aid solution, but they didn't fix it. So I kind of gave up on that camera. It's a great vlogging camera or around the house camera, that kind of thing. But as an action camera, I wouldn't recommend it at all. It's a beautiful, beautiful design. Don't get me wrong. I love the design of DJI Action 2, but it's useless to me. Anyways, I'm going to get into the cons before I get into the pros. I'm going to do things backwards a little bit. Right off the bat, Go 3 is not to take over your action camera in any shape or form. It's to complement what you have in your gear bag. Just like the X4, the X3, it's not to take over. It can somewhat, but it's not going to compete with the actual resolution of the camera and what it can do, right? Just because of the technology and just because of the methods, right? But it can also, it's designed to do something that the main camera cannot do, which is 360 degrees in the X4. Now, where the Go 3 comes into this whole picture, I don't believe in one camera system. We have cameras that do different things and do different things well, and that's the way it should be. You know, when you're with a professional photographer or cinematographer, their gear bag is never one camera or one lens. Like their gear bag is multiple cameras and multiple lenses that do different things, and that's how I see action cameras or this category of cameras, right? With the X4, you have that phenomenal 360, and let's be honest, Insta360 has captured that 360 audience or that 360 technology, and they do it well. Nobody else can touch these guys, right? You know, and then you know, we have different options for action cameras. Some people prefer GoPros, some people prefer DJI, some people prefer Ace Pros. I prefer both DJI and Ace Pro. I'm not a big fan of GoPro, as you've already known, right? I just don't like their color science, and I don't like their mentality. And I don't like that they're not innovative. Come on, GoPro, get with it. Let's hope for the best for the GoPro 13. Anyways, the Go 3, the negative, it's a 2.7 camera right off the bat. Okay, it's not going to compete with your, you know, 8K or 4K, 120 frames or 240 frames or 5.7K shooting. It's not designed to compete with those guys. It's designed as a creative and a fun camera, and that's all this camera is. If you're in a market, let's say if I'm out doing some serious shooting and I want to do some fun shots, some shots that I cannot normally do with a regular camera, or put my camera somewhere that a normal action camera can't be put in, this is where the Go 3 comes in. It's the little brother that, you know, that's great to adopt, you know, and it does a lot of things really well. The 2.7K quality is actually not bad at all. It's actually, it maxes out at 30 frames. If you go 1440 or 1080, then you can go up to higher frame rates. It does have the slow motion, does have the time shift, and all those other features that the Ace Pro does. It has the free video, which is really cool. But I think it only shoots in 1440 mode or 1080 mode. It doesn't shoot in 2.7K. Hopefully the next generation of the Go will come with a little bit better shooting. So that's a con for me. But for my use, the 2.7 is more than sufficient enough. This, like I said, this is a fun camera to get those cool shots here, and then you'll see what I mean by these cool shots and where you can place this little tiny camera. The other thing that's a con is the low light shooting. It has low light stabilization like the Ace Pro, but once you hit that mark where the light goes down, this camera will start to suffer. It just doesn't have the power, and it's a small sensor compared to the other cameras. It'd be great to see the Go 4 with pure video. That'd be awesome to be able to get that, or even a larger sensor to get some really cool night shots in different areas, different placements of the camera. And that's the point of this camera, is to be able to place it in different areas where a regular action camera can't go. So things like that. So that's another con, the low light shooting. The other one that's a big one too is the memory is not expandable. So when you buy the camera, just like when you buy an iPhone or a Pixel phone, you have to buy the memory that's going to work for you. It comes, I think, 32, 64, and 128 gigabytes on this unit, and the memory is actually built right into the little camera that pops out of this or disengages from the actual docking station. So when you buy it, just make sure that you buy sufficient enough memory. Mine is a 64K, and it gets me almost 3 hours of shooting time. I've never even come close to that because, let's be honest, this camera is not designed to be vlogging or shooting for hours. It's for short bursts at a time and to get those creative shots. And that's all I've been doing with this. I think the longest running time I had with this was in my car, and I was kind of vlogging with it. It was running for I think 15, 20 minutes. And that was the longest time I had it running. So yeah, 3 hours is more than sufficient for me. You can go to 128, which would get you about 5 hours, almost over 5 hours of footage, which I don't even shoot that long or that much in my regular action camera, and I have 256 gig in that thing, right? There is no memory built into the actual docking station, and the actual docking station doesn't have the memory expansion slot. Now that I wish they could have put the memory expansion slot in this. The reason why is because if I'm limited with the memory that's in the camera at 64 gig, I could possibly, this is a docking station, I could use that as a storage. You know, I could put 256 gig card in there and just keep dumping my camera footage onto, give me the feature to dump that into that card as a storage, you know what I mean? And then it'll free up, so I don't have to go to a computer or my phone, download everything. So I could free up the memory on the camera and just keep shooting. So that would be a cool feature to have, and I don't know why they didn't do that. I wish they did. Maybe for the next version they'll come up with that, with the memory that's in the docking station. The next con, one thing I don't like about this, and I'm a big advocate of landfills, not filling them up. I am a little disappointed that there's no removable battery, even in the big docking station. The big docking station and the camera both have built in their own batteries. So there's a battery in the camera which lasts about 45 minutes per charge, 45 to an hour, depends on what footage or what resolution you shoot. And I think the docking, I'm not sure, I have to check on this, has a built-in battery that when you put this back in, it charges the small camera. I think it gives you another 3-4 hours of running time. It's kind of like the headphone buds, you know, you use the headphone buds, you put it in, and the case charges it. Similar idea. Would have been nice to have a removable battery on the base. So when this camera, when the Go 3's life cycle is gone, I don't have to throw away both. Do you know what I mean? I know it'd be hard to put a camera in the little camera like this. This is tiny. A battery in this little camera is tiny, and I don't think it would last very long. And then you have an open port that you have to deal with for waterproofing, because this is waterproof and this is not. To have that battery in this, a removable battery in this, will prolong the use of my dock, because Insta360 sells this camera separately. And I can see why, because I've almost lost this camera a couple times because it's so tiny and it's so slippery, and I'll get to that next. That you could slip out of your hands. Can you imagine sitting at the boat and you're playing with it, whoop, into the water, and it's gone, right? You'll never find this in the water, I'll tell you that right now. So they do sell this separately for people who lose it, and they can just resync it back to the dock, and it syncs by Bluetooth, the camera and the unit itself, the docking station. So that's the other thing too. So give me battery in this, a remove battery in this, so this prolongs the life of this unit. Next time when I want, if the life cycle of this battery goes, I just have to buy this and not the whole unit again. You know, some creative thinking there, and you know, to not fill our landfills for one thing, just throw this whole thing away when the battery's done. That was a little disappointing for me, and I wish I'm hoping they'll change it for the Go 4. And with the history of Insta360, they tend to listen to their users, and I'll bet you any money that's going to change as well for future releases of this. The flip screen is kind of cool. Looks like the Ace Pro flip screen. Okay, I don't use it much. I don't use flip screens a lot. Very rarely do I use it. It doesn't have a front-facing screen. That makes sense because the whole module pops out. The other thing is too, it's not really a con. I can understand why they did it, but they could have easily made it, you know, that way. The camera itself that pops out, this module right here, it's waterproof. I think it's down to 10 meters, I think. The docking station is not. It has an open port here for the USB, and it's not waterproof because there's open ports here in the speaker and stuff like that. They could have made this waterproof easily. I don't know why they did. Maybe in the next version they will make it waterproof. I did buy a dive case. You can buy a dive case for this whole thing. What I'll probably do is this will come out of the dive case. I actually bought dive cases for both. You know me and dive cases, right? You can buy a dive case just for this, and then you can buy a dive case for the camera with the dock with the camera inside. What's going to happen, I think, with me is if I'm on the beach and I want to use both, I'll have this disengaged because this is waterproof, but this will stay in a dive case just because I'm around sand and I'm around water. That will protect this unit. And it's not expensive. I think the dive case aftermarket was $12 for this. You can buy a dive case for this. This is like a little dive case. It's kind of cute. And it's like $8 for this. Not a huge investment to protect the camera, right? And these are not cheap. And like any toy, they're not cheap, right? That's the other thing. The next con that I have is the clips. Now I can kind of understand why they did it this way, because they should have made the locking clip, mounting clip here, standard, like the same as the Ace Pro maybe, because that way I can use my accessories for this camera. And I wish they actually did that with the X4 as well, because the X4 only has the 1/4 inch thread, and they could have put a 1/4 inch thread. It kind of made it kind of universal, but it would be cool to see the Ace Pro locking mechanism or locking method on here. Now I can understand why they did it, because it comes with this thing here, so it's magnetically locked. It almost the clip looks almost like the DJI, just wider, because the DJI grabs it from the sides, whereas Ace Pro grabs it from the like the bottom. And this clip also works with the individual camera itself. I can almost understand why they made it proprietary. Maybe they'll change that in the next version to go for. We shall see. Right. So that was the other con I didn't like, was more of a universal locking mechanism. There's not a lot of like critical cons other than the resolution and the night shooting for me. But I use mine differently than everybody else. You may find that an important factor and may not end up getting this camera. But in a creative sense, and you'll see some of the videos what I've done with the camera, and I've only just been playing with this for less than a week. What you can do with this camera and where you can place this camera, normally where you can't put a regular camera, and to have it as a body cam, which is cool because this is the first body cam that I have that's not noticeable. Like, you can't, if I'm walking towards you, I won't even notice you have a camera on there, other than seeing that little red flashing light. I think you can. I haven't really played with that. I think you can turn that off. It won't be as noticeable. Other than that, I can't see anything else that's bad about this camera. But I haven't really had a lot of time to play with it. The screen is very responsive, just like the Ace Pro. It's got a nice big screen on it, and the menus are very similar to the Ace Pro. Oh, the other thing too, it does have the wind reduction. Yeah, it works with the GPS remote. I don't think it works with the preview remote. It would be nice if it would work with a preview remote. That'd be kind of cool. They haven't built. I'm sure they'll bring the compatibility in for this unit. The other thing as well, you notice that the menus are very similar to the Ace Pro. The other thing I wish it did have was the Bluetooth connectivity. Okay, that's the other thing. And maybe they can bring that in the firmware. I don't think so, but maybe they can bring that in. If you're vlogging with this, the sound is good, but it doesn't give me the option to use any external microphone or wireless. With the Ace Pro, I can pair my Ace Pro wirelessly to my DJI Mic 2, which I'm using now, and get good sound. Whereas it'd be cool if they can do it with this. Then you have that audio as well, that good audio connected with this camera. So that's the other con. Maybe they can bring that in a future firmware update. I don't know if they can actually do that. We shall see. I can't think of anything else with the camera, but I'll bring it up. If I find any cons with this, I'll bring it up as well for you. Video's good. Well, I'm going to get into the positives, and there's quite a bit of positives I like with this. First, size. It's tiny. This camera, it looks like, this is my Ace Pro, and this is the Go. Like, it's tiny compared to... And the Ace Pro footprint is almost the same size as the GoPro. Now, the DJI is a little bit smaller. The A4 is a little tinier, but still a significant size difference. Like, it's, when I took it out of the box, I'm like, this thing is really small. I thought it was bigger. Because when you see it on TV and videos, it looks like it's bigger, right? And the coolest part is this. This is the bread and butter right here. To be able to pop that right out, and you don't even have to have this on. This camera works independently. Oh, the other thing I don't like too, I'll bring it up in a second. So I can have this out. I'll just pop this out. This doesn't have to be on. I hit that power button here and it will start recording. And you can change your recording modes by, I think, keeping it down. And it'll just cycle through the recording modes. So you can go to free video, you can go to time shift. And I think that's how, I haven't really had a chance to play with that part. I've just been shooting it in video. But it'll shoot in video and it will turn off, goes off. When you plug it back in and turn it on, you can view your videos. You can't view your videos on there, obviously, but you can view your videos on here, delete it or whatever, right? On this docking station. And you can change the settings here. Now you can use this in conjunction with each other. So if you have this on and this is detached, it has about, they said it has, what is it? The range, it's Bluetooth, right? So 10 meters. But let's be honest, Bluetooth in the best cases is never 10 meters, right? You can see like it's remote. Like when you move this, you can see the screen move on here. So it's remote via Bluetooth. Now I've been only being able to get about 10 to 12 foot before it starts to get disconnect. But that's fine. I honestly don't need it further, right? But the cool thing about it, if it disconnects, if it's recording and it's recording on here. So let's say if I activate recording on here and it records, as I'm moving further and further away from this base unit, this docking station, if I disconnect from this docking station, this camera will keep recording. It doesn't rely on this just to stay recording. The camera is the main brain of this unit. It will keep recording. And it's seamless. There's no lag or there's no little stutter or when it disconnects. It just seamless. It just keeps, it doesn't rely on this unit to keep recording. So that's kind of cool that you don't have to worry that if it disconnects, it's gonna stop recording or it's gonna jolt it or whatever or make weird things on the video. Other than that, the battery is actually pretty good on this. You get 45 minutes out of this, and then you get I think a couple hours from this. I'm not exactly sure. I would have to check that up. When you buy the camera, the one thing I love about Insta360 is they make their accessories with a little bit of brains. Their accessories are very innovative, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. What comes with this camera is you get a few things. You get the swivel clip, magnetic swivel clip, and it's 1/4 inch, and the base, which actually pops open. And it's actually, you could have a regular base, so if you're standing in it, or you can have it as a sticker mount. So this peels off and it's a reusable sticker. So you can use it in a different spot, just wash it, and you can reuse it again, right? So that's kind of cool. And this just goes on, and you can just use it as a regular base sitting here on the table, okay? The second thing it comes with is this thing right here, which is the cool, let me just do the, it comes with the hat clip, shirt and hat clip. So this is really cool. So I can put this hat on, and you can swivel this back and forth, and it's on here pretty tight. And this piece is also magnet, right? So if I want to put this on here, it's magnet. It doesn't come off. Like, it's on there pretty tight. I have a tough time getting it out of this thing. So that works really good. And you can put it in the front of the hat, you can put it in the back of the hat, okay? And again, it's magnetic. You just pull it right out. Cool. So that's one. This is the coolest thing, and I love this thing. And I'll tell you why I love this thing. This is the necklace mount. The necklace magnetic mount, and I'm gonna show you something that's really neat. So when I bought the DJI Action 2, this was the neck mount, and I love this neck mount. It's so cool. It's a great idea to have a neck mount that you just put on there, and you can just shoot, and then it's like a POV type of thing, right? Do you ever watch a movie, Hardcore Henry, where the whole movie was shot POV? So you can actually do it with these cameras. You can just, like, I have footage of me doing this, and it's pretty cool. The neat thing about this is that when I put it on here, this just mounts and just hangs, and I can record, right, like this, right? Okay, so it's magnetic. Brilliant idea. DJI is really the grandfathers of magnetic mounts, right? They started it all, really. And I love this thing. The only thing I don't like about it is that you gotta wind it up, it gets tangled, and I don't like this piece right here because this necklace mount is two pieces. So there's a lid, a roof, plus the main plate that you require for this to stick on properly to shoot, right? You can't use it without this this thing, it won't stick properly. You can do it this way, but it's not on there very good. You do need this piece right here. Now, I've almost lost this piece a couple times, and it's wonky because it's not very portable. You have to flat it, wrap it, and then I've lost this piece in my bag. I thought I just got to buy another one, but I ended up finding it, right? So too many pieces, and to wrap this all times a pain in the butt, right? I know I'm lazy, but that's that for this one. Now, this is Insta360's version of that same thing. It's really cool. It's a disc, and the back is rubberized. So when it's sitting on your chest, it's not metal like that one is, or plastic, right? So it's a little bit more comfortable because it's kind of rubberized. And the reason why it's rubberized is because, and the magnet's at the front here, all right? So when you pop this off, it just sticks on, and there it is, right there, right? And you can turn it around and have it upside down or whatever, right? This is the coolest part ever. It unwinds. It winds, the necklace winds inside, has the adjustable thing just like the DJI one. Okay. And here's your thing. One piece. And it winds up into a little disc that's easy transportable. Like, this is so innovative stuff. Like, it's such an easy thing to invent, you know, to be able to do this. Look at that. That's all it is, right? And I didn't know this was, I found this later on when I was going through the manual. There's a little ramp. It's like it's rubber, but it's magnetic. So what this basically does is if you want this to point down a little bit, you would just take this and stick it in the back. And that'll give you a little bit of a ramp to point it downwards. And it's a pretty strong magnet. You can technically just leave it on here if you want. I haven't used it. If I want to lower, I just put it down lower or higher. So yeah, brilliant idea. This is a big plus for me. Using your brains, right? So those are the accessories. Now, that said, I don't want to make this too long. I'm going to do a few segments of this, getting some videos, some comparisons and stuff like that. So I'm going to be doing a comparison with all these cameras here. The reason why is because these are the only cameras that are what we call mini cameras. And for the application that I asked for to do with the Go 3 was to be able to mount this on my airsoft pistol, my crossbow, my bow, etc., etc., etc. These are the only ones that I have actually mounted on. And why I use these ones is because mounting a traditional action camera is just too big and too heavy. Especially with the GoPros, the Ace Pros. The DJI is not too bad. It's the lightest of them all. But it's still too big, especially when you're shooting a bow, recurve, or shooting a compound bow. The extra weight can be a factor in terms, especially when you're hunting, right? And in different weathers is also different. So to have a camera mounted that's almost weightless and size-wise, makes a big difference, because there's been times where when we hunt, we go through bush, we go through a lot of brush, branches and that kind of thing. And there's been times where on my crossbow, my Ace Pro or DJI has gotten caught in things and then snagged or popped it right off the mount itself. That's not something you want to do in heavy brush, right, or heavy forest and that kind of stuff. So that's where these little mini cameras come in. The reason why I like this Go 3 is that I can easily take it from my body and put it on my magnetic mount on the crossbow or bow very quickly, which makes a big difference, because with a lot of these other cameras, you have to screw them in with the finger mounts, or DJI has the clip. This one allows me to move from one spot to another. So let's say if I'm going through hunting and I'm going through bush or forest, and I want a body cam instead of having, because when I'm tracking, I'm pointing my weapon downwards, so it's filming the ground. I don't want to do that, and I can easily take this camera and just, if I have a hat on or a body cam, I just stick it on here and now I have a POV of where I'm going, and I can easily put it back on my bow if I need to. That's why I find this application a little bit easier. With the other ones, you can do it, but it's harder because then you have to unscrew, especially with the GoPro, you have to unscrew, put it back, screw it back in, and so on and so forth, right? Unless you get those quick mounts, but then you're building bulk and that kind of stuff, right? Whereas this is a little bit easier. The DJI would be the second easiest, but then I can't use the DJI due to temperature issues with the DJI Action 2. So I'm hoping that this has a better running temperature gauge. So I'm hoping that in the winter this will perform a little bit better because there's really nothing to this camera. It doesn't overheat, or there's no screen on it, so it shouldn't theoretically overheat like the DJI 2 should. Anyways, I'm going to be running these four in comparison. The reason why is because this one's kind of in a different category. This is a zoom camera, so it's only for long distance, and it's only at 1080p. These three are probably the best because this one is 4K at 30, this one is 4K at 120 maximum. But the 4K 30 on this is still better than the Session just because it's outdated. 4K today and 4K years back is very different. You can tell the difference between the two in terms of 4K. Now this is 2.7K, the Go 3. And from what I've been seeing and the samples that I've been downloading and testing, the 2.7 on when the lighting is good is excellent. It's actually really clear. So I like to put it up against a 4K and just to see the comparison and zoom in maybe and see if there's any big differences. Obviously there should be, right? Just because it's 4 and 2.7. But for my use, is it going to matter that pixel peeping part, right? I don't think so, because as long as I capture good footage, it should be okay. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't have a zoom. That's where because I'll be carrying my Ace Pro with me because I do want that clarity zoom, which will be useful for close-up shots of the game and that kind of thing. So anyways, that's why I'm doing the comparison with this. And I won't go any further. I'll get back to you guys on that and do another segment on this. All right, accessory-wise, making my own. So you'll know that if I like a camera a lot, I'll start spending the time and designing accessories for the camera. And these are stuff that you can't buy anywhere, right? Some you can, but if I can do it, why not? Save me a ton of money, right? But I have 3 or 4 accessories I want to show you guys here that has that's for the Go 3. First of all is the holster. There's a person that created a very basic holster for the Go 3, and it doesn't have a belt clip. It has a little thing you hang it on. You use like one of those name tag things. You hang it on. I'm not a big fan of plastic things hanging on my, especially a $500 camera, right? So I actually created something which I did for the I created a holster for the X4 camera out of 3D printing, and I made some alterations to this one as well that will house a belt clip. So you can actually just Chicago screw it in and then you have a belt clip. And this particular one, I made some alterations to it, made the holes a little bit better, a little bit stronger. I've added this little elastic tie down, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So this is version 1. This is one version of the clip, and it just slides right in easily. And what this basically, this tucks at the back, and it's an elastic hair elastic, and you just bring it over, and I made a little notch so you just bring it over, so now it doesn't fall out, right? So it keeps your camera inside, so if you're running around or walking, it doesn't pop right out of the holster. And it's actually, it doesn't go in there snug, it's actually relatively smooth to go in, so it can pop out if you're running with it or whatever. So this just keeps it down, okay? So the reason why I made this one is there's 2. This one has access to the camera, so I can press the button, pop the camera out while it's still in the holster, and use a camera that way, right? And it's locked in. I can pop it and take it right out. Okay. The second version of this holster is a lot of times I'll take the camera with me and I'll put it in my pocket, and it swishes around in my pocket, right? And sometimes I have other stuff in there, and I didn't want the lens to get scratched. I know it's replaceable, but I still, it still costs money and time to replace it, right? I didn't want to get nicked up or broken or whatever, cracked. So I created another version of this holster. So I created another version of this holster, but it has a front panel on it. So actually when I slide it in, it actually protects the lens and the camera. Now that said, It gives you that extra protection, but you can't take the camera out while it's in the holster. You would have to remove it out of the holster and take the camera module out. It gives you that full protection, has the same elastic, and it's also on a belt clip. There it is. Those are the two. Use these simultaneously depending on what I'm doing. If I want to keep something in my holster, I want to pop the camera out easily, I'll have this one. If I'm just traveling with this in my pocket, in my jacket pocket, I'll have this one. You can do it with both. It doesn't really matter. Again, like I said, the screen guard is replaceable. You can buy them in 2-packs and they're dirt cheap. That one said. The other one was the magnetic mounts, like these guys right here. I don't know if you can see it. There's horizontal mounts that go with the finger mounts, finger tabs, and there's a vertical. I got these just for easy magnetic, transfer from one spot to another. I usually have this on my car dash. The nice thing about this is normally you would have the locking clip, this guy in the car dash. The problem with this is that you have to actually kind of get it right and then press it and it locks, right? And then you have to remove it. I'm lazy, so if I want something quick, I can just take this in my car dash. I know exactly, I just pop it in and it sticks in, it stays in there, right? If I want to take it out, I take it out really quickly and it stays in its car dash. So then I did a vertical one. You can put this on anything. You can put this on tripods or whatever mount. You can have it as a secondary camera on a rabbit cage, that kind of thing, right? So that's what they're, and I had these little magnets that I bought ages ago. They're cheap. I popped 4 holes in the 3D, did design 4 holes in the 3D print, and I just put the magnets in, and then now I have a magnetic mount for the camera, right? So that's that. The one that I really like was, I don't know if you guys seen that movie, A Hardcore Henry. The guy the movie that this came out a few years back. This guy, the whole movie was filmed in a POV, which is what I love about this camera, because we can do POV with this camera easily, and you can have it mounted on your chest everywhere, and you can just pop it up, put it over here, take a video of yourself, and that kind of stuff. And I have videos at the end of the segment, or I'll link the videos to those segments. I want to put it in, it's going to be a long video. And then you can see the shots that I've done, different spots, different areas, different positions, that kind of stuff. So that's where this camera comes in handy, is doing those creative shots, right? You know, if you're going diving with this thing, or if you're going sky diving, or doing some serious action stuff, I wouldn't suggest this camera. It's not really designed for that. That's when you get into the more traditional action cameras, or even the X3 or X4 camera, which are waterproof and are designed for more action-based sports or events. This is the one I actually tested it out, and it works really well. And I just sent this a 360, and maybe they'll do a patent for this, because there's nothing like this yet. There is one, you can buy this at a Chinese company. It's like a frame, it's like a sunglass frame, and it puts a camera. So your viewpoint is your eyes. If you're over here is different, because you're shooting straight. If you turn your head, this doesn't change direction. You have to switch your whole body, right? I did this, and I did a test on this. I made this little thing that slides onto these standard glasses, and they're pinch, so they don't move around. It's actually in there very tight, right? And you can move it back and forth depending on what you want to do. And basically, this camera, same type of mount, it's magnetic, so it just mounts on, and now I have a camera that I can look at. Have you seen those Google, or not the Ray-Ban glasses that have the camera built in? I was gonna buy one, actually. They're like $500, but it's cool. It's a more of a discreet feature, because nobody will know you have a camera with those Ray-Ban. It's very different, right? Different class, because the camera is discreet. Nobody would know that you're filming them with those Ray-Bans on. With this one, yeah, you can see somebody who's got a camera filming, but it's more for the viewpoint, that, you know, it's more like that POV viewpoint going back and forth. And I did a test on it. The first rendition of this design was way too much at the back, and it caught the corner of my glasses. But this design now, because it pushes forward, it's a clear view, and I don't have this this to worry about. It doesn't catch the corner of the glasses. Works really well, and it is also magnetic. I can just pop it right out. I tested that when I was out hiking, and it pops right out. Put it on my body. I was switching it back in my body to my glass body. It works really well, and you can just remove that. Pops right off. And it's on there pretty secure. It's not going to pop right out. Those are the things that I'm making right now for it, and I'm probably going to make more stuff for it. But yeah, guys, my opinion on this, and strictly my opinion, I really like this thing. I'm actually using this more than my other cameras. Just because honestly, on a day-to-day basis, when I'm out doing this and that, all I really need is this. If I'm out on a vacation, and this will be part of my vacation gear. If I'm out on if I'm skydiving, or if I'm scuba diving, or if I'm out windsurfing and that kind of stuff, and I need something a little bit more rugged, more waterproof, more environmentally proof, I'll have my Ace Pro or my DJI with me, and I'll use that to film, right? And let's be honest, those ones get 4K, whereas this one's 2.7K. So you're still limited to the resolution difference. Where I would see me using this camera is like literally when I go out now. I used to bring my Ace Pro out when I go out to do filming and stuff like that. Now I'm taking this guy out for a couple of reasons. It's smaller, you know, it's a lot lighter, and then I can pop the camera off. And I could literally leave this thing in my car, and I'll take this camera, I'll put it on my thing, and I can still film, and I have this tiny little camera. I'm not carrying around, you know, a big camera like this, you know, the Ace Pro or the GoPro or the DJI. I have something very, very, very portable, 2.7K, great resolution. You know, you'll see a sample footage of me in a grocery store outside, and the quality is excellent. It's there. It's not 4K, it's not 8K, but for what I'm using it for, it's perfect. Anyways, if there's any questions about the camera, guys, let me know. I hope this helped you. No, not everybody's going to buy one of these. It's not for everyone. But if you want to get those really cool creative shots and getting a camera into small nook areas and places where you normally can't put a big camera in, this is the guy to go. This is really the only person to go with that could do that, right? You know, other than the DJI Action 2, there's really no other camera in this category. So that's it for now. I hope. Sorry, this is a little bit longer than I anticipated. I'll try and edit everything. But have a good day. Respect. Peace out. All right, so this camera's on his harness. You see how it's teeter-tottering? The flow state stability is actually really good. So it's on free video right now, and he's filming, and it's mounted on this harness. See how the thing is just going back and forth, and you guys will see what it looks like on the video itself. It's actually pretty neat.